Morning, homies. What's the online party? Like a birthday party, or what is it? Why the horse, Owen? True, chickens do smell way worse. I'll give you that. To have ice cream to be able to join, that's fun. It's kind of a fun thing to do. Morning, Sadie. Morning, Jared. Morning, Owen. Katrin. Hello. Ruth. Hello. Morning, Erica. Morning, Yuli. Morning, Larissa. 12 chickens so I can eat them. Who else we got here? Sambo, good morning. And crap all over the place. Oh, horse meat is good. How do you know that? Amen, Sam. I feel like you could like put the chickens in like a cage at the back of the van, maybe, you know what I mean? Oh, Larissa says live chickens. Killing me. Alright, it is 8 o'clock. I'm gonna do my attendance. It's a Dutch thing. Alright, I saw Jared. Sam is here as well. Teddy, not yet. Kendra, hi, welcome, morning. I believe I have not seen Crystal. I saw Ruth, I saw Yuli, so Katrin, Sadie, yeah, okay, so no. There's Teddy, there's Crystal, awesome. Yuli I saw. Kathleen has not showed up yet. Morning, Zion. Katrin's here, no Maddie yet. No Kathleen just yet. No SJ just yet. Sade is here. Zion's here. Ruth, Owen, Benny, where are you at? Larissa's here. Lucas is now here. Eric is here, and Kendra's here. Awesome. So, if Benny, SJ, Maddie, or Kathleen show up, please let me know. I also may have missed you earlier, but I'm going to share that now, and we're going to rock and roll. I apologize for you not being here mentally. Okay, so we're working on today. I'm going to assign you guys the little project. I do need to actually send it. I just didn't want it to be like a too early kind of deal. So I'm going to basically explain it today. But first, I want to take up any like homework questions you guys had, because we did talk about some other things that you could be doing yesterday. Kind of figured there'd be a catch-up day. I met with a couple people one-on-one in Teams. And that was pretty good. We got to do a little bit of catch-up study. That was great. Benny, welcome. I'm going to press you are here, my friends. Start of class. Sure, why not? Okay, so let me just go through and see. I believe somebody wanted to take up some of that 6.6 homework, maybe. So I'm just replying to a couple Teams messages and then looking at what one we had. But if you guys have any questions from that 6.6 homework or that list or review I gave you guys in Edsby, let me know. Okay. Grade 9. Oh yeah, I said just look through that 6.6 homework. So was there any of those ones from 6.6, guys, that I asked you to do that you maybe struggled with? Let me just share my screen with you here. Where am I? I want this one. Cool. So is there anything from these questions that you guys maybe wanted me to take up? Hey Kathleen, welcome. I should probably mark you here as well. Seven, okay. There we go. This one maybe? Okay, cool. So yeah, like this question here. Basically, and you don't have the list of names. Yeah, sure, Zion. Yeah, that's cool. You don't have the list of names, so there's not like a exact answer here. I don't think, did I even give you guys the answers? I might not have, right? So maybe we should take these up, like that way you guys know that you got them right or not, eh? But in terms of like the 7A first, just so we can talk about this question, a company wants to select 50 employees of its 325. Well, if we're looking here, right, this 325, that is the population, like the entire, he's got 325 employees total, but he doesn't want to have to ask all of them. So this is our sample size, right? I was going to say survey size, but it's sample size, which we would survey. So describe a systematic sampling technique that the company could use. What did you guys put here maybe? Which one is systematic? There was 3 types, right? There was the simple one, where you pulled names out of a hat. And then there was systematic and stratified. So do you remember which one systematic was? Was it the kind of grouping one, or the like choose every 8 numbers or 7 numbers one? Do you remember maybe? You said to line them up. Okay. Tallest to shortest or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, definitely you need a list. Check it twice, Santa Claus. And choose every nth number. Sure, awesome. So yeah, what I would do here, to describe a system that would work, I would take 325 and I would divide it by 50, okay? 325 divided by 50 is gonna be like 6.5. That tells me to make sure I get it, I'd have to do like every 6.5 people. So why don't we just do like every 6, just to make sure it fits, I would say. And you didn't have to do this math to make it work, but like if I chose to do like every 10th person, I would get to the end of the list. Like if I started at my first employee in my row, like Zion said, line them up, or if I had a list of all their names, if I did every 10th person, I would like get to the end and I wouldn't have all 50 people. I'd have to like start back at the start or something weird like that. So all this was just like, okay, take my 325, divide it by 50, and see how many, each time I would need to count by. So 6.5, we're not going to cut people in half, but maybe if we just did every 6, it would land before that, and that's fine. So every 6 people, get a list and choose every 6th person. So the random number generator, as Owen is saying, is that one is fine. That's just a different sampling technique. Remember yesterday we learned about 3, right? So this one, because it says systematic, they're asking you for the number counting one. If it instead, like the person who is running this said they wanted a simple random sampling, that's when you get the same list with a number attached to every person. You just use that random number generator, and you get that done. Like a number between 0 and 325, right? Just boop, boop. And then our last one would be stratified, which I don't know what this company's employees are, but maybe you wanted to make sure you get an equal number of girls and guys or something like that working at the company. So that would mean like you'd choose 25 girls and 25 guys. Now you decide how you pick those later, but you'd kind of make it work from there. Okay. Some of these other ones. Oh, this here, like we could just talk about these, right? A government agency wants to survey Ontario farmers. So what's the population? It's all Ontario farmers. Maybe we don't want to choose all of them, so how do we make it a little bit smaller? Well, stratified, remember, is to like group them into categories. And so maybe my categories would be to make sure we have a fair representation. I would choose, some cattle farmers here, so people deal with cows. And then maybe I would choose like a poultry farmer, like chickens, eggs, that sort of thing. Maybe I choose a dairy farmer, which is still cows, but maybe just like not for meat, but for dairy instead, right? So I choose different types. So that would be a good way to categorize them. Could also do it by age, like farmers under 20, farmers between 20 and 40, and farmers over 60 maybe, something like that, right? To have an equal number in there. Ooh, comment on any possible bias. So let's go through number 4 actually, just together, and then I'd be pretty happy with where we're at if we could just take up number 4, so that way you guys know the right answers here. So 4A, let's talk about this one. A career studies class interviews University of Waterloo graduates to learn about career choices for university graduates. What do you guys think? Is that one of our sample questions there? Sorry, I've got like a random bunch of messages in Teams here. Is that one of our 3 sampling types, or do you guys think there's maybe bias out of that? What do you think? Science says bias. Lucas says bias. I agree in the fact that, like, obviously this would be a way better survey if we like could go around to all the different universities. I guess if this survey, because they're just from Waterloo and the school's a tech-based university, yeah, a lot of them would, like, it's like math jobs, engineering jobs, that sort of thing, right? So a lot of them would be doing that, 100% biased based on that. If it was a survey specifically about Waterloo University students and what they decided to do after university, it'd still be a useful survey, but you can't label this as a survey for, what graduates in general, right? It says career choices for university graduates. Like any university graduate, what are people choosing? Well, it's not really fair to just choose Waterloo. And that's a great point that Zion said, right? About that, it's a specific type of university. A lot of universities have reputations for what programs are their biggest or better programs. So good job, guys. B says a town council randomly selects phone numbers from a town directory to survey citizens' opinion on a new park. So would this be simple, systematic, stratified, or is this biased? So they just take the phone book and they just like pick numbers out of the phone book. You can just call them up and ask them stuff. Jared says simple. Okay, does anyone else agree with Jared there? Lucas agrees. Yeah, definitely simple, right? You just like picking names out of a hat, basically. It's like if I took the phone book and I just like flipped it open. There we go. Let's pick this one. I don't know if you guys have ever done that. This is probably like not a good thing to say, but I don't know if you've ever done that. Like if you're like struggling with something and you're like, you got your Bible and you're like, I just need a verse, you know? Just like, I just need like somebody to speak to me. And you just like whip open your Bible and you just like look and point your finger at the first verse. And somehow it always lands in Psalms because Psalms like in the middle, right? So it actually tends to work. It's like, oh, that's exactly what I was like looking at or going for or thinking about or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of silly, but it works. It works because it always lands in Psalms pretty well. C says moviegoers. I wouldn't have thought that was one word. Moviegoers. Leaving a cinema are interviewed to find out how people spend their free time. Okay. As they're leaving a cinema, right? They're, finding out. Sorry, I guess this is just a survey, right? The survey is just to figure out how people spend their free time, but they're just interviewing moviegoers as they're leaving a cinema. Just asking them in general, how do you spend your free time? Do you guys think this is biased, simple, stratified, or random? Simple, stratified, or systematic. So it's asking people, in general, what do you do with your free time? Sam says biased. Jared is very confident. This is biased. Yeah, I love it. For sure, right? Like it's not a survey about like what people in the movies enjoy doing in their free time or like people that go to the movies. Like it's very like in general, it's like, oh, this is what people like to do in their free time. But you've only asked people coming out of the movie theater. So obviously they're gonna say stuff like movies, things like that. Movies, duh. Okay. Good. And the very last one, we might as well take this one up. Every fifth person entering the cafeteria, so you could think at Great Lakes, is asked to fill out a questionnaire about the menu. So they're walking into the cafeteria, every fifth person. So think about the lunch line. You go down the lunch line, ask every fifth person, what do you guys think about the menu? What do you think about the menu? What do you think about, and I think I know a lot of your responses, but anyways. What would that be? Would that be bias, simple, systematic, stratified? What do you think? For sure, I got a lot of people saying systematic, right? That's that one that is like every fifth number kind of thing, or every nth number. Yeah, good job. For sure. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you. So is there any other questions from there? If not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the assignment and we'll get started. I'm pretty excited about it. I think this is a good one because it's practical. Just checking my email for something I need here. Oh, here it is. See what that looks like. Oh, love it. Okay, awesome. Alrighty. So what I need is to know if you guys got this sheet here, this one called Correlation and Sampling Project. Just got to open up YouTube again just so I can see what you guys are talking about here. Do you have this page yet. I can't remember if I've sent it to you or not. I don't even know how to see what I sent to you already. Distribute, view distributed pages. I thought it was somewhere along here, but yeah, you guys got it? Okay, sweet. All right, so I'm going to explain what the thing is, and then I'm going to give you a few resources to go with that. Okay, a lot of people have it. That's fantastic. So this project can be done with a partner, okay, if you want. Now, I just thought that would have been kind of fun because, like, now I know none of you are together, but it just kind of like you've been separated. You haven't really probably been working on many things together. But I thought it'd be really nice if I gave you a chance, like if you wanted to hop in a Teams call with a friend or even just work separately, message them, whatever, and work together. Now, you don't have to. This can totally be done on your own. Not that crazy labor intensive to do it on your own. It's more of like the data collection. Yeah, you can work with a partner if that's something you're interested in. I know some of you, I'm just saying it's an option because some of you, maybe don't even want to do that. And I know we've had group projects in the past where you're like, I just want to do it on my own. So here's what the project is going to be like, okay? I'll read the steps, I'll show you them, even though I think you guys have it in front of you, you probably have already semi-read it. Okay, so number one, and you've probably done this in science class, is create a hypothesis and state it at the top of and it says Microsoft Whiteboard. Now, I don't know that you guys have used Microsoft Whiteboard before. Can you guys give me a comment in the chat if you have used Microsoft Whiteboard before? If not, I can explain it. The only reason I said Microsoft Whiteboard here is because it's really easy to use it with a partner, better than OneNote. Okay, so a couple people, Larissa has not. So this is how easy it is. I'll show you guys. So if it's already on your computer, I believe. It's just called Microsoft Whiteboard. Okay, so Teddy has used it, Sadie hasn't, Sam hasn't. I think it's awesome. Personally, it's really easy to use. So you just search Whiteboard on your computer, open it up. Sorry, let me grab it. It went over here. So it's gonna load into here. The reason why I personally think this is way better than OneNote or, oh sorry, this is some project some other kid gave me. I'm just gonna go back here. So if I wanted to create a new whiteboard, okay? So it's just gonna be a blank, so they have templates, you don't need that though. Just go here, just blank. And you can add lots of different things. I think right now, I have it set up so there is a, if you go to format background, you can like even choose like to have like some sort of grid or something like that. Or you can even choose the color of your background, whatever. I don't know, that's kind of stupid, but let's just have it as white for now. For some reason that was glitching out and it was like doing, when I move it, it's doing a grid line, but I think in general it's black there. But you can use your pen tool on it, right? I can draw, everything's totally fine. It's got a lot of tools in here. Text, you can put like little white notes and sticky notes, type on them, and then like resize them and move them around. Oh, I just think I deleted everything. But move them around. And like drag and turn it, that sort of stuff. Whatever you want, there's a lot of different things you can add in here. Even in terms of like, I think you can add like tables and grids and stuff like that. Anyways, maybe you'd have to draw it, but there's a lot of different things. For sure. I'm just looking for sticker, PDF. Oh, you can insert Word documents even, or PowerPoints, or whatever you need to do. So anyways, in general, this is pretty great. But the reason I think it's so good is if I'm going up here, like I started this whiteboard, it's Logan Ellis's whiteboard, but I can invite someone to this, okay? And it's just people in our company. So if I just go like, okay, I want Zion to be working on this whiteboard with me, I just click this here, and I choose, yeah, Ken edit, whatever, and then you guys can't see it right here, but then I would just hit the invite button, and then me and Zion are working on the same whiteboard. And in like OneNote, when it has to sync, well, this thing is like instantaneous. So like you're writing on it and they're writing on it. You're writing on it and they're writing on it. Like, and it keeps up with each other, okay? So it's a little bit better in syncing that way. The only thing is like you can choose to do, like I would say do OneNote if you're on your own, right? Because you know how to use that, whatever. I was just thinking whiteboard if you're gonna partner up. But what I would say is that when you hand this in, the only way to like hand it in is you can like print this thing. Let's just see, how do I go and print? I think you just look at the settings on the side there, and you can say, oh yeah, send to OneNote or even export, right? I can just send this right to my OneNote. So I just hit that button. So later on, like when we're done our project, you just choose, okay, where do I want this thing? There's as is a grade 10. I don't know why I'm part of that. Okay, here's you guys here. Right, and then I can choose, okay, I want this to be in my OneNote underneath chapter 6, something like that, and send. And you guys could send it to your own OneNote and be like, Mr. Ellis, it's in there. The other thing you could do is you could just add me to it, right? Like invite, not your friend, but Logan, okay, not Logan Ayala, but Ellis, I guess, wherever I am. Maybe I can't invite myself because I'm already there. But anyways, that's how you use it. So it should, once this thing is done syncing, it looks to be syncing. You can see right down here, it's my whiteboard, and it'll have like your whole project on there, and that's totally fine. I don't know why that black line is in there. I must have, maybe that was Zion doing that. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. Either way, there she is. So that's what you could use. You don't have to use it. You can totally use OneNote. Honestly, you can use anything you want to use. I just need to get your project. Okay, the reason I've suggested Whiteboard is because I think it's easier. So does that make sense? Try to use Whiteboard. If you have questions about it, let me know. You could also rewind this video, right, to see how I went and found that or whatever, but it should be on your computers. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna come up with your hypothesis. So my hypothesis is, okay, I think at my little light out here, my little stop sign, that cars stop less than trucks. I don't know. And so what I would do is I would start recording my data, okay? I'd go like trucks, and I would record the number of ones that stopped, and then I would record the number of cars that stopped, and I would like compare those. I don't know, something like that. I'm not sure. But what you really want to do is you want to compare two things. So maybe I wouldn't compare cars stopped versus truck stops, but I would compare like the number of trucks and then the number of stops, something like that. And so I could see like, okay, the more trucks I see, is there a lot of stops? And if there's not a lot of stops, that would mean that cars aren't stopping, right? You could also compare things like, things that like you think about their age and their height, or maybe like you compare their grades, or grade 9, 10, 11, 12, and you figure out, you do a survey based on like hours spent studying each day. And so you do a survey, maybe it's going to be, stratified, where you ask a bunch of grade 12s how many hours they're studying each day, grade 11s how many hours they're studying, whatever it would be. Could even be things like favorite color of ice cream based on, age or whatever. So I want you to think of two things that you could compare. Remember, it's like, the more you study, the better your grades. That one's a bit weird for our school because you don't want to like just ask people straight up their grades. It's a bit rude. So that would not be something that I would completely recommend, but definitely is an option. So you're going to choose a sampling strategy. So in saying that, here's what I want you to do right now. Favorite color of ice cream? I don't know. Sorry. You don't have to listen to my examples. They're not great examples. I'm thinking you guys can be pretty creative in this. So here's what I want you to do. No, Sadie, you're not going to make up the data. You're going to collect the data, and I'll show you how. So if you guys could all right now go to sorry, one second, I'm finding my document here. All right, so if you go to OneNote right now, guys, you should be able to see this thing here. And don't just click it. I think if you click it, it won't show you the data that well, or maybe it does. Okay, it does, but it's hard to mess around with it there. So what I would recommend is you download this. So I'll just give you guys a minute. Can you all download that? That is a list of every single student at the school that Miss Banta helped us out with. She got that for us this morning, which is pretty good. I forgot we needed this for this project, so she helped me out big time this morning. Where is... There you guys are. So I'm trying to get this over on the side here. Okay, so there we are. If you guys download that, it will look like this. Sorry, yeah, I did say go to OneNote, but I meant go to Edsby. So here's a list of all the students in our school, and right now if you look at this list, it looks to be like that their last name is the thing that is in order, right? And so each student has a number here, and you can go down, you can see that, like, actually because this has a title here, it doesn't really start till 2, the second one, right? So how many students are actually at our school right now? If we go down to the bottom, there's 117, but really it started at 1, so there's actually only 116 total students, right? If I click here, 116 total students. Okay, so a lot less than we thought at 150. I think 150 is more like a last year number. So they don't give you much info because we wanted to keep this private. But what you do have is their name and then what grade they're in, okay? So what this does is, like, you guys can totally, like, you don't have to collect data from the school and the students. You know my example when I said I was just gonna, like, look outside my window? Feel free. Totally cool to do that. Or maybe you want to do a survey of people at your church and you're going to call up people at your church. Or maybe it's just like, if you have like a really big family, you're just going to like be like, okay, like ask them, I don't know, something about blah, blah, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. But you're hopefully doing something where you can find a pattern or a trend. So it has to be a pretty bold statement. Like, I'm just not going to say like, I think more people like vanilla ice cream. Like, no, that's not like a bold statement. Maybe it's like, the older you are, the, like, you know, the less hair you have or something like that, or the shorter length your hair. Maybe, like, you know how, like, as people get older, like, it's like the mom cut. You're, like, starting to, like, cut your hair with, and then same thing with dudes, they're all losing their hair. So maybe that'd be a pretty good hypothesis, right? The older you are, the shorter you cut your hair, something like that. But you need to be, like, kind of bold with your statement, because you want to have a pattern. Like this thing, like that, you know, maybe it's like the taller you are, the better chance you have of shooting 2 free throws in a row. So maybe you get like people to shoot 2 free throws and like make a number, like 2, 1, or 0. How many did they make? I don't know. That'd be harder to do because we don't have a lot of people that have access to basketball nets. So you'd have to like know your friends who have access to basketball nets, or it'd be people in the dorm that still have access to open gym, something like that. Maybe that's not a great example for right now, but it could be something like that. Could be even, maybe your hypothesis is the bigger your foot size, the faster you can run 100 meters or walk 100 meters. And so what you do is you ask your friends to go outside and you say, can you time yourself on your iPhone for me? I know this is a big ask, but I need you to walk 10 meters or 100 meters and tell me your foot size, right? So how fast, like how long did it take you to walk that distance? And, you know, what was your foot size kind of thing? Whatever it would be. Okay, so this seems like a lot, but here's some options for you. One is that you could just like, you know, look through here and you can see that there is numbers from 2 to 117. So we have 116 students. So if I go to, and you can just search random number generator, okay? I want a minimum, so we'll just choose, the minimum is 2 because our first student starts at 2, and the maximum is 117. And if I just hit generate, 55. Okay, so who is student 55? I go to my Excel sheet here, scroll down, and 55 is Obina, okay? If you guys don't know who Obina is, you can look him up in Edsby, or you just go to Teams, right? And you just go and you just search in the top Obina, and there he is. So here's my recommendation, is that you guys could also, you could choose to just post one of those random polls or surveys on Edsby, but the amount of response to that is really low. And that is like it's simple random, I guess. I would almost say it's a little biased because you're only getting students really who like care about everything or care about things that answer those surveys. Because I don't want you posting it in school talk because it's really annoying. I'd rather you post it in that survey group. And if you guys know what I mean by the survey group, it is that one that nobody uses, basically. It's down here. Survey says, and it's this here where you'd post, your survey. You can see there was one 15 weeks ago. I couldn't tell you how many people responded to that, but anyways, it's a little biased because you're just looking for people who use Edsby more there. I think most of us are pretty open to using Teams. So what I would say, and I could help you write the message if you'd like, but as you're opening Teams and I look for Obina on there, I just go, hey Obina, I need to know something for my grade 9 math class. If you don't mind helping me out, could you just answer this quick question for me? It's a bigger ask if you guys have them doing something athletic. So you might hit the random number generator a few more times. That's a little biased, but I won't be able to tell. But in here, yeah, and then you'd hit it again, right? So I get 60 now. So that's pretty random. So I go down here and I get 60. So Zion, I'd need to know something about Zion, right? So I'd ask Zion that question as well. So that would be in there. Yeah, you got to ask people, Benny. Or you do something if you don't like asking people, you don't know, like it's unbelievable how many people are walking outside right now, right? So if you guys are too shy to ask people, that idea of just looking at people as they walk by your house, like in front of my house right now, there's like a person walks by like every minute. So maybe your hypothesis is like the later in the day, the more people are walking per hour, the more people you see per hour. So maybe you just like where I am, you're just sitting, you're looking at your window, and you're like, oh, I see one person walk by. I don't know. And you just do a couple hours. You just look, and you're just like working on something else. You're playing games. Maybe you miss a couple, whatever, but you're looking and go, okay, between like 8 and 9 a.m. in the morning, I only saw like 10 people. But then between 4 and 5, like after work when people are home, I saw like 30 people. So my hypothesis was right. More people walk in the afternoon. Not creepy. You're not like taking pictures of them. You're just like making a little jot note list. So that would be cool too. So here's the other thing. So that was how you use this list as simple. If I want to, you should be able to take this right here, and if I right click this, you should be able to go to, I believe, format cells. Let's see. And if you click number here, no. We want to, sorry, I have not used Excel in a while. We want to use one of these tools for, here we go. Okay, so in here, so where it's grade, if we want to do a systematic approach, right, instead, or first of all, systematic would be like every 5th person, right? So if you wanted like 10 people or whatever, you go 1, here's Sam, the next one would be 10, here's Jared, 15, you choose Cameron, 20, you choose Max, whatever, right? So you choose every 5th person. Obviously, maybe not all these people respond to you, right? Some people at our school just don't give a crap. So that's fine. You just, you had your system, at least you tried, at least you sent the message. If they don't respond, no big deal, no hard feelings. But here's the other way, is that if you want to do, so that was systematic, every 5th. If we wanted to do stratified, right? What you can do here is, this is sort smallest to largest. And so if I'm looking at grade here, if I hit that button, it says Microsoft Excel found data next year's selection. Yeah, you do want to expand the selection. So that means when it rearranges these, it will keep the names with them. So I'm going to go to sort. And so now it's in a list. You guys can see that all the grade 9s, all of you guys are at the bottom. And then you've got all of your people in grade 10 here. Then you've got all 11, and then all 12, okay? So you've got all of your grades. So if you wanted to do a stratified approach, right, and you want to make sure you have like maybe 3 people from every grade. So I'd choose Jared, then I go to 5, I choose Crystal, then I choose SJ, something like that. Then okay, I want to get 3 grade 10s. So I go Sophia, and then I would go to the next 5, and then I go, so that'd be Abby, Sophia, Abby, and Demi. Okay? Then I go to the next 5 in grade 11. Here we go, 1, 2, and you get the point, right? 1, 2, and you just choose 3 from every grade kind of thing. And that would give you a total of 12 people. Now I would say, at minimum, like, if I was to ask you guys just in general, take out a OneNote right here, and I'd be like, okay, like, if you're gonna have 2 things here, maybe it's like, you know, foot size. So I'm gonna have like, I don't know what size people's feet are, but maybe I have like size 7, 8. You'd have to collect your data and find out, right? 11, 12. And then maybe it's like foot size, like the bigger your foot is, the bigger your hand is. So this would require people to have a ruler at home, right? Which is pretty typical. Hopefully people have a ruler at home. And then hand size, right? Maybe they measure it with a ruler in terms of centimeters. And this would be foot size, would be like the US size, something like that, right? So then maybe, you know, their hand is, I don't know, 10 centimeters, and maybe the max is like 25. And so the bigger the foot is, the bigger their hand is. And hopefully you'd get a trend, right? So as you're looking for your data on here, if I just had like 1, 2, 3 dots, if you only got 3 people to respond, that's pretty weak, right? If I'm trying to do my line of best fit, that's pretty crap. So even with like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, at least 10, hopefully finally then, that would be like a minimum amount that you could say, then you'd get a trend, right? Depending on what your data is, you might need more. Like if I'm doing the one where I'm just looking outside and I look at people crossing the street, like the number of people, whatever, between the hour of 8 and 9, maybe then I do an afternoon time slot. So it's like the, you know, one of these ticks along the x-axis is 8 and 9, 11 to 12, and then 3 to 4, something like that. And then I just have 3 x values and I'm just counting. So I think you'd probably have to look at a few more hours there, but it could take you a little bit more work to collect that data. So I would say no matter what you choose, I want you to run it by me in Teams, because I'll be able to tell you like, okay, you know, that might give you a trend, or maybe you're not gonna be able to get people to collect that data. Like as I said, that basketball one, like, you know, their height and the number of free throws they can make in like 5 seconds or whatever, a lot of people aren't gonna have basketballs. So that's not gonna be very good, right? But maybe it's the number of times they can juggle a ball or a piece of, you know that challenge people did, the toilet paper, and how many times they can like bounce it like soccer style. Like maybe you just have like something like that where you think, okay, maybe it's like, you know, the shorter they are, the more times, the more chance they're gonna have, because their center of gravity is lower. So I bet you they're gonna be better if they're shorter. So you do like a height versus number of times they can bounce the toilet paper. That's something that everyone has access to. I think we have all toilet paper or some form of tissue box or something, right? So you can get people to do that. But there's not everything that we're gonna be able to do. So what I want you to do is I want you to run that by me. What you do need to do though, and let me just clarify this, we'll just finish the steps here, and then I'll give time for questions. So you're going to choose your sampling strategy. So don't choose anything that's biased, right? But biased would be, I just ask my family members, right? I want to know like what people's favorite kind of ice cream is, but I only ask my 4 family members. Well, like you're only, you know, your mom only buys, or your dad only buys a certain kind of ice cream, and that's probably what the only ones you guys know. So it's a little biased, right? So, choose a sampling strategy, right? 3 says collect the data and record it in a table of values. And so you're gonna have your 2, you're gonna have your independent and your dependent, right? Your 2 things. In my case here, I'd set up a table of values. I'd say foot size, right? Foot size and hand size. Okay? And then you're gonna go and you're gonna say like, okay, it was like 10 was their shoe size, and they had 24 centimeter hand size, and you're gonna go 12 and, you know, 22, I don't know, whatever. You're gonna collect your data like that. Now, it could be useful if you wanted to tag on. It's not important, but it could be like, okay, like this was Zion here, maybe. It's not important, really, but it could be important later. And this is like, you know, Owen or something like that. I have no idea. But like later on, right, there's a question that says any outliers and why they occurred. Well, let's just pretend you chose someone like me for the height thing, right? Well, I don't know if you'd consider me an outlier, but like I maybe have, you know, huge feet and tiny hands. And you just say like, you know, Mr. Ellis is the outlier. It's interesting. He's just got small hands, whatever. But for the most part, other than that, now you don't have to name names. Maybe that's a little weird. Maybe you guys don't like that. And in this case, hand size and foot size is like kind of normal. It's a little bit of, maybe it's a little bit body shaming, so I wouldn't say that. But it could be like other things that are not a big deal. You could name drop, but it's not really a big deal to throw in names there. If you're going to talk about somebody that's really fast, something like that, like maybe you did like Cameron Bilesman was one of your people, and it's like, okay, well that girl can like run forever, so that's not really like she's our outlier because, you know, she's like, she does track or whatever it would be, or cross country, so that's a bit rare. But for the rest of the students that I asked who are just like regularly athletic, then yeah, they fit in with my trend. But there's that one student who is like over the top and, you know, they didn't fit. So sorry, where did I get to? So you're going to collect the data. Yeah, so Ben, you choose something that you're comfortable with asking, right? You don't have to ask people their foot size. I don't know, whatever. Then what you're going to do is you're going to create your scatter plot, right? You're going to put the points on your graph. You guys are going to choose the axis. You're going to label it. You're going to give a graph a title, all that sort of stuff, right? Just like I am here, I should have gone and gave this sucker a title over here, hand size versus foot size, that sort of thing, and labeled my X and my Y axis, right? You need to throw those suckers on there. Yeah, weight is a bit weird for sure. If you're going to choose something like that, I'd be very careful. There's a lot of people that wouldn't like that, so maybe I'd say no to the weight. Sorry, then you create a scatter plot, and then so what you're going to do is you're going to finish with a paragraph, and the paragraph is not a long one. You're just going to discuss the correlation. So remember, that means, is there a strong or weak correlation? Is it linear or non-linear, right? Maybe as it goes up or whatever. Is it positive or negative? So you could say here, like on my graph, right? I'd say there is a positive linear correlation. It looks a little weak, right? A little weak, but it's positive, which means that as their foot size gets bigger, their hand size also gets bigger. If it was negative, it's like as their foot size gets bigger, hand size gets smaller, right? So you'd make a connection like that. Talk about the sampling technique you used. So you're going to have that data, but I'm not going to know how you did it. So I want to know how you did it. So you're just going to tell me like, oh, I choose to do systematic because I wanted to just get an equal number. Like I wanted to do every 5 students. And so you tell me that. You'd say I started at number 1 on the list and I did every 5 students. And that way I know where you got your data from and you just didn't make it up. So it's important that I know how you chose to do this, okay? And then I want you to look at any outliers and why they occurred. Okay, so any outliers you might have had, and do you think there was a reason for that? Was there like the student you asked there that was like maybe just too athletic? Maybe there's no outliers, right? Maybe it's all like mine, there was no outliers, right? There's not like one random over here that I should be like, okay, there's some, like Mr. Ellis has like size 12 feet, but like the smallest hands in the world. I don't know, something like that. And then last one, number 6, it just says draw a line of best fit on there. You probably already have at this point, but just tell me, like, is a line of best fit best, or maybe is your thing more of like a curved data trend? Would that have been better? And that's all it says. Would a curve of best fit have been more appropriate? So how are you getting marked, right? You're able to successfully complete your line of best fit. Oh, and equation. Oh yeah, so I'm asking for an equation. So the y equals mx plus b. Write that on yours if you don't have that. Sorry, mx plus b. It's kind of implied that would be the equation of your line, but that's what I'm looking for. And then just talking about whether the curve would have been better or whatever. Thinking says come up with a completely non-biased sampling strategy. So you're coming up with something totally non-biased. You've come up with your systematic approach and you're able to describe it with me, like how you're going, every 5 people or whatever. You could maybe talk about in your paragraph how you did every 5 people, but like only like 4 people responded. And so you had to do another set. Like you had to do like, start at the next one down and do every 5 people and ask again. That's totally fine. Your paragraph, right? You've answered these 3 questions. It's detailed. It's not just like, I chose systematic. I want to know I chose systematic and it was every 5 people. The outlier occurred because, and you explain, maybe it doesn't have to be exactly right, but you tried to explain why you think it is. And you've talked about the correlation, right? Whether it's positive, negative, linear, non-linear, strong, weak, any outliers, that sort of stuff. Like that's what I need to know. And then you've labeled everything as the last one. Okay, so you've got your scale right. You've got, your label on the axes, stuff like that. So Owen has asked when this is due. Now, the asking process, so you guys today are going to come up with a hypothesis with your 30 minutes left. And I'd love it if you come up with your hypothesis today with your partner, right? Start your Microsoft Whiteboard or just do it below here. If you're by yourself, just do it down here, right? Whatever, it doesn't matter. But do that and then get those questions out there today. So look at your strategy, get those questions out there today. That way they have today to respond, so that way you can start looking at that data tomorrow in class. That way you have something to look at, and maybe you need to change your mind, whatever it would be. Okay? So my goal is that, you're going to have today to think up and brainstorm, what your hypothesis is, and then I'd start sending those questions out today. You might need to send a few more out tomorrow if you're not getting much response. And then you'd be able to have, we don't have class tomorrow? Okay, Sade says we don't have class tomorrow. So definitely then you want to make sure you get some of those questions out today, so that way people can respond over the weekend, okay? And then on Monday, we'll be collecting the data and putting it into a graph. And so I would say this is going to be due Tuesday. Something like that. Due Tuesday. So we'll see how that plays out. But definitely, this is going to be very difficult for you if you do not send out these questions today. If you wait until Monday to send out these questions, no one's going to respond. There is just not going to be enough time. You're not going to get her done. So I would say get me your hypothesis, ask those questions, and get back to me. You have a half hour still to come up with a hypothesis with your partner, and then come up with a sampling strategy and send those out. That should be more than enough time. All right, guys, you are free to go. I'm going to sit here for a minute and see if there's any questions. Feel free to rewind the video if you were confused about a part about how I open up Whiteboard or something like that. Other than that, have a good day. Can I figure out whose lap my cat prefers? Will it be someone who feeds him or someone who pets him? I don't think there'll be enough people in your house to have enough data there. Kendra, there'd only be like 5 of you, but maybe actually, like if you... I don't know how many people are in your house, but if you were to get like, I don't want to just like see like, somehow I want to see like you've recorded it over, I don't know. I think there's like actually more than you than I think. I think you have like 2 siblings. So there's 5 of you, maybe something like that. So if you had 5 things on the bottom and you record like length of time in one day, like you do a consecutive time, you record like how many like minutes total in one day that your cat sits in individual laps. That'd be cool. Maybe somebody's got 0. That'd be different. I'd be okay with that, actually. I'd be okay with that because that's not like biased, because it's very specific, like your population size, you're getting everyone. It'd be hard to observe. You'd have to like follow your cat around all day, but it's possible, for sure. All right, don't see many questions, so if you have any other questions, hit me up in Teams. I'm going to end the stream there.